Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly, and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on AGMH. We love their business description and we can't wait to see MetaTrader 6 come out and kill it.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that checked and it's gone.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Laughing Stock. Dane, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Yeah, good. I see you have purchased some books there.
Yeah, I've been reading, just non-stop.
That's what we need to do in this type of markets, right?
Yeah,
I saw.
Got some extra time.
Yeah, I have named the video for today the good, which is you have a good performance. The bad, I have a little bit of bad performance right now, and then the ugly, which is the market. It's an ugly market right now, right?
Yeah, besides Friday, we saw a little bounce off. I don't remember how I was telling you. I bet it would bounce off the 200 moving day average. It literally tapped it perfectly.
Yeah, I saw that, and no, but February been ugly, right? Before we go into the market, we can talk a little bit about the AGMH, right? We like the business description.
Yeah, I got the fundamentals up right now. I mean, they have net excess cash of 2 cents. So
oh, nice. Yeah.
Big
so
cushion, big cushion.
They will survive then. And if
the only problem is they earn about 38 million a year. So
yeah. No,
but that gives them like, I don't know, half a month.
Yeah. I you know, Bitcoin has taken a big hit. I can say all cryptocurrencies have taken a big hit the last what will you say, last 3 weeks?
Yeah, what did Bitcoin end at? I didn't even check.
Think it's around 80 right now. 84.
84, yeah, so it did pull back. I mean,
yeah.
But this is the biggest decline I've seen since I don't even know how long.
A long time. But then again, I think in the beginning of November, around the actual election, I think Bitcoin was around 69,000. So it's, you know, it's still up since the election, but it has fallen drastically the last few weeks, I guess. So the ticker we mentioned there, they deal in Bitcoin, so of course they will be affected. But yeah, no, the market has been. February been a bit tough month for swing trading, I think. It was very hard, at least in my experience. I know you experienced this a bit of the same, but it was a bit hard to stay in the names. Very easily, I got stopped out, and also some of the picks, which is huge mistakes from my end. But I experienced a couple of times that I got stopped like just a few minutes after I entered the position.
Yeah, it was another tough week, and I did stick to my guns, and I didn't go crazy with trying too many trades or anything like that. I usually only took the most I took on any given day was 2, and some days I only took 1. Yesterday I didn't take anything, which yesterday ended up being the better day. And I think I only had 1 that actually I was able to hold for 3 days and sell at a profit. Which wasn't even, I don't even know what was that. It was like a few percent. It wasn't even great. So yeah, at end of week, I had just done my numbers. I'm down 0.87%. So the one thing I'll say is, I mean, overall being down that much for a really ugly week, it's not bad.
No.
But at the same time too, we've been talking about it. We were saying, after listening to a bunch of other, swing traders who are really successful with all this, that, in these markets, you basically just don't swing trade because the breakouts do not work. And I found the same thing you did. Even if I held something for more than a day, usually by the day 2 or even day 3, it would come back and I would either break even or it would go down to my stop loss, which I set tight at 2%.
Yeah.
And actually it was at 2% worked great because, to be honest, every time things weren't really coming back, they would just continue down from there. So it was the right call to have a really tight stop loss there.
Yeah. No, so I think today's stream will be a little bit of our reflections for the past 2-3 weeks and in that type of environment. And because we have spoken a lot, and I know you just said it, you have adjusted your stop to be a bit more tight, and also you downsized your risk a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, I also was usually I was taking 10% positions and I dropped it to 5.
Yeah.
And point being is a 5% position at 2% stop loss is only 0.1% that you risk on each trade. So I was what I was hoping is just to catch one name, because even if I made 10 trades and I caught one name, if one name was up 10% by the end of the week, it would cover the other 9 trades.
Yeah, but even that was difficult.
But even that was difficult, yes.
Yeah.
So that's why and don't get me wrong, there was names out there.
Yeah.
And I had actually tried moving my break-even point up a couple times, which actually worked against me. I should have stuck with keeping my stop loss where it should have been. I moved up break-even too quickly, and I got stopped out on those. And AXGN was one of them, I think, that I would have been up 10% that I got stopped out of that I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I guess in hindsight, I probably can kind of continue something like this. I'm just going to take it real slow and just watch how things are going.
Yeah.
We were talking a bit stream. I mean, world politics right now is kind of nutty. So who knows where things are going? Yeah,
I think it will need a little bit more time, this environment. But I'm not going to sit and comment on the macro environment. I think because we can't do anything about it, and we just open up the scans and see what things are popping up towards us, But I had a similar experience with CXDO this week, which is one. I think I had 2 winners this week, or if it only was that one, but a very small percentage, gains. But on CXDO, I was actually up like 7% on day 2, and then it continued that my sell day it started up 2. And the market was that was on a down day for the market. I think it was Wednesday. It was one of those ugly days. Yeah. And I didn't sell it when it was 2% up, and I think it ended up going down 5% that day. So I lost most of the gain on a stock that I was almost up 10% up on the selling day, and I didn't take it. So I was just thinking, like, when you see a red day on the market and you are on the 3rd day and your stock is up, just take it in this kind of environment,
Yeah. And normally in better environments, I had learned not to do that, because the exact opposite would happen is it would usually continue up and you'd miss out on a move.
Yeah.
Because I'd even have stocks that were down 3, 4, 5% during the day, and by end of day at close, they were up, another like 9%. And I'm like, wow, I waited to sell. But yeah, I agree with you. In this, whether you're setting just ways to get out, or instead of going for 3 days, you're just looking for one positive day. Like, you know, I was just saying, almost one thing I saw that would have successfully worked this week was day trading, essentially. And you could go into a breakout, but you would basically just take whatever you got for that day.
Yeah. And
that would have worked.
I think at least when it's already close to a 10% gain, maybe things, if it was only up 2% and it was up another 2% on the day, I think I would think a little bit different, but it almost reached my 10% goal, you know, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna take it off next time. But I fully, I did this, I actually did this on OPFI and lost out on some of that gains there, because it started to drop and then it turned around and ended the day up a lot. So I missed out. I did a mistake then too, but that was in a more positive market than what we had now.
Yeah. And you know, I've just been doing a lot of kind of charting with indexes, trying to find any kind of rules, whether it be distribution or using moving averages, on when to kind of anticipate the market's really going into a pullback, or even bigger, like correction or something like that. And it's tough to say. I've definitely seen some correlations. I've gone back all the way to like the 80s looking at this. And usually I've been using the NASDAQ or the SPY, or S&P, I should say. But there is correlations. It's more just finding enough accuracy in your rules that you're not stepping back when you shouldn't, because it's tough. It's tough to say. And I'm looking at it from, you know, the bigger grand picture that the whole markets are pulling back. I can't go back to those periods and say whether breakouts were specifically working in those pullbacks or not.
Yeah, no.
You know, but I will say specifically in the swing trade style that you and I have been using on breakouts. Yeah, this last month was really tough.
Yeah.
Really.
But I mentioned maybe, and I know we have discussed it before, maybe if we do this a little bit longer, we can see the benefits of maybe doing more deep value style in this type of environment, at least if it lasts a long time.
Yeah, and
like you have been doing a little bit already with the USEG, right? Yeah, at least you've been thinking about it.
Just to clarify too, because I know I talked about USEG and I started taking a position. I did get stopped out, so I'm already not even in that. That went, it got down to like $1.50 something, which I was looking at I'm wondering if it's going to get down to that 200 moving day average, which is around 140. I'll probably wait until there's a pretty good base to form. You know, and this brings me to my next point, was going to be that if we're going to look into deep value, now that I have this different technical appreciation for what's going on in these stocks, when I look at like something like USEG, I want to see a pretty good base form. You know, and then I always think back to Michael Burry, because he's one of the guys I've always really respected the way he looks at things. And it's funny too, because I wasn't from a technical background, so I didn't quite get what he was saying, but he always said that he would look for some kind of like, you know, base to form, and that's where he would make his purchase, and then he would set his stop loss at 10%, which is what I've kind of adopted. And if I do look back through a bunch of stocks, I can see where that would work. It's just working on knowing where that base really is. And I think the most important thing is doing some number crunching to figure if that base is actually legitimate fundamentally.
Yeah.
You know, like whether a country's got ugly earnings or it has some kind of outlook that's good. If it's down to a certain point, you and I know, you know, once it gets below tangible book and we're at 52-week lows, or historic lows for that matter, those are good times to kind of look into those companies. That's a good way to sift through deep value, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think if we were to stick to a 10% stop loss and look for those bases, my point being is just to agree with you in saying that I think this is a time you could start to look at deep value. I wonder though, you know, if you zoom out and go to like some of the bigger crashes that there have been in the market, you also don't want to hop in too early, because when they really go down, they tend to go down like in big swings, and it happens 2, 3, 4 times. And then finally it forms a base. And I feel like you almost want to wait until the indexes find that low before you go hopping into these things.
Yeah. No, it's definitely interesting, and I'm sure, like we say often, that things will develop and evolve, you know, as we get more experienced in doing this. But it's for sure a great skill to have to focus more on the charts now when you maybe switch over to a little bit of a deep value style again, because we check through a lot of tickers every week. So if things pop up, at least for me, on a more deep value style play, it's not like I'm only doing the swing trading. I'm still paying attention to everything that moves, you know.
Right. And another thing too, I had talked about how it's going into USEG slowly because I didn't want to build a full position really quickly because number one, it's in a downtrend for USEG. I'm talking, and
I can pull up the chart. Hold on, here we have it. Yeah.
So with that in mind, I didn't want to go into it too quick. So luckily I was only at like, I think it was like 2.5% or something like that, or somewhere around there. It was a pretty small position. So, to be honest, some of my loss this week was actually from that, just because it was, you know, I let it go down 10% before I, you know, hit my stop loss. So overall, it wasn't that bad of a week, you know, like you can lose 0.5%. Because that's really, if I had just been swing trading it, you know, I would have been down about 0.5% for the week. And even this whole month, I'm only down 0.1%.
Yeah.
So, you know, I look back in how February's gone. Like if you just look at like a NASDAQ chart and seeing that, you know, the composite's down where it is, and I'm only down 0.1%, it's not bad.
No.
You know, it just was a way of getting out of things without, you know, making too much of a mistake.
Yeah. An update for me on my performance since I started in January. I'm down approximately 3% in total. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm at a loss, but also it's been a little bit of a tough environment, right? Since 1st of January. What I am more happy with is I improved my win rate for February. It's quite a bit above what I had in January. So some things are at least improving.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about a loss here. I think if I continue and learn from, I agree with you. Like we have also spent the chance now, if you want to call it that, to learn a little bit and get the experience. And if I look at the amount of trades I've taken, it's probably too many in this kind of environment. I think I'm up at 29 trades for February. Normally maybe that's fine, but right now, like we started off the stream with, they just simply haven't worked out, even if they looked good before we took them, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you know, 29 trades in this kind of environment is not really that crazy. And to be honest, there was the first 2 weeks of February weren't terrible weeks.
No, my first week was great.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, that means you took about a trade a day. I mean, so that's pretty conservative,
yeah.
I would say.
Which is also on purpose. Like I did slow down because I saw that things were not working. So yeah, I'm just tracking everything, and I want to improve all types of my numbers. You know, I did more trades in February than I did in January. So it's also up on that.
Right.
That way. But yeah, we can go through the. Right now I'm only in one name, and that's Trinity Capital, which I'm a little bit. This is so far at least. I'm at the. When the market opens on Monday, that's my sell day. That's my third day holding it, and right now I'm at a tiny profit of like 2% or whatever it is. Did you take TRIN?
I did. That was the one that actually I got money, or that I worked out for me.
Yeah. So it had a good setup, and I took it on this. I took it on this day here, which was on Wednesday, I guess, and did pull back on Thursday, and then came up a little bit again on yesterday. But if we go through the watch, and by the way. on the scans for the entire week, I think it was very few opportunities, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like you can also just tell because there's just not a lot of stuff that was in breakout territory, and kind of like we had talked about before too. The ones that did break out, they didn't continue.
Yeah.
Have one strong day and then usually would kind of pull right back. So
yeah, and also because of the result of the previous week, like you said, the charts were, the setup was just not there.
Yeah, you can kind of just watch it all slowing down.
Yeah. But I think I have still some good candidates for a setup in my watch list here. SSRM is still there. You can see the clear steps. But again, this is not a swing trade for me. It's a longer term hold. So I haven't done anything with the SSRM. But what do you think about this chart right here, Dane?
On SSRM?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of a long-term play, I still think it looks good.
Yeah.
Just to zoom out, I'm looking at like a weekly chart.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think I have a hard time thinking that this can't go. Like, kind of like I said, even on a weekly chart, the 200 moving average is at 1258. So.
Yeah.
Not that number means anything. It does for institutions. You can tell they use the moving averages. Like just look at a chart and watch how often things bounce off moving averages. So I don't see why it can't go to at least to that.
Yeah. No, I agree. But it's maybe breaking down a little bit on the daily right now. But I decided to just have it on the watch list just because I'm in it for a long term too. So it's just there.
Yeah, but just me looking from December on, it's I would be more concerned when it touches that 20-day moving average because it's broken down through the 10-day moving average a few times. Yeah. But every time it seems to get to the 20, it comes right back up. So if it really breaks down through that 20, I think it'd be the first time I would put it kind of on watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. And
nothing to sell or anything like that, but just it would make me wonder how strong this move is. And another thing too is just overall distribution in the market. Even if SSRM continues to have good news and stuff, if the whole market's in a pullback and indexes and stuff are just selling, then it's going to put selling pressure even on a company like this where there's money flowing into. So you could see this pull back and not any fault of the company's own. It's just the whole markets are pulling back.
Yeah. But I saw gold are doing still well. So, the longer term is still the mine in Turkey to get that up and running again. And that hasn't happened. So even if it does break this, my position is to just hold it. But I have a pretty gain on it right now. So I can also, I guess, afford to lose a little bit. I'm not planning to take anything off, I think, until I hear some concrete, solid updates on how things are going in Turkey. And if it falls like 20-30% because something bad happens there, I will probably sell out and miss out on those gains, but I'm still happy with the overall position,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're up that much, I would focus on the fundamentals of the narrative more so than just the chart. I mean, the charts, it's helpful to have, but at the same time too, I mean, this has been a fundamental story since the start.
Yeah, it has.
So
it just happened to have these breakouts, which was very clear, on the chart. Mm-hmm. The next one is PBI. I still have it on the watch list because it's a little bit just moving sideways, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's up 50% from since 23 of January, so it has had a pretty gain in a short amount of time.
Yeah, no, PBI has been strong, very strong. And I mean, there's a ton of buying just in this past month.
Yeah.
PBI's got to be one of the strongest stocks relative to the markets right now.
And it crushed on the last earnings,
Yeah.
And there's multiple people that has been successful in what they are trying to do in this company now before that are involved here too. And by the way, on that note, did you see there was another activist investor letter in Alto? Did you see that?
No, I did not see that. I did see that Alto was bouncing around.
Yeah, it dropped again. I'm just gonna show it a little bit because I talked with Value in the Discord channel. Justin on 7% now of Alto.
7%, huh?
Yeah. So he, I'm not sure how much he can comment anymore on X and stuff like that because of that. But it's even in Seeking Alpha. There's a own news about how much Domo Capital owns. And then there's two other people who are briefly below 5%, and they are also people who have ties to the PBI story, which also have ties to the GameStop story. These are some of the same people. So Alto has actually, is the development there in the story a bit interesting again? I'm not sure. I'm keeping an eye on it, and if I can get a little bit of my loss back, I would be happy, you know.
Yeah, I hesitate to go into names I've been in before because
and
the ones I've taken
a
the
deep
loss
value
on
play
because
again.
you have that bias.
Yeah, and but there was an activist investor letter again urging them to sell the company or at least throw management. So that's the story has developed 100% to. Sorry?
I was just saying that's my big complaint is will management listen?
No, they will not. They have proven that they will not. But I mean, if they, I guess they are still far away from owning enough of the company. But if they go together, which I'm sure they talk with each other, you know, that's Alto has turned into that type of a story now.
Right.
And only that, I think, to sell off the they are still talking about around $6 per share.
Right.
So yeah, just sidetracked a little bit. Another ticker that I saw had good earnings was PGNY. That's already on the watch list. But look at the pullback, Dane.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, I wonder why such heavy selling on that day.
Sorry?
I said I wonder why such heavy selling.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe people are taking profit from September there.
Yeah, I mean it could be bag holders for sure. And maybe that's a bullish sign going forward because that's a bunch of people getting out.
Yeah, could be. I see the relative volume was 300% on Friday. It went up. I don't know how much it was. It went up almost 20% at the maximum, but then it actually went down to almost 4%. So a little bit tricky to read. But I agree with you. If Monday and Tuesday maybe are good days for it, and it sets up for another breakout, maybe you should watch this one.
Yeah.
2 billion market cap though.
No, that's not too big for me.
No. And historically, I see the earnings, at least here from TradingView, they historically deliver on their earnings reports, you know.
Yeah, and I mean this is trended at, in the $40 range. So for it to double from here, it's plausible.
Yeah.
It's been a year or two, but it's.
Yeah. I was watching this, it started up, I don't remember in percentage, but it quickly, and it continued to go up a little bit, and then it quickly started to fall.
Well, the only thing I will say is I don't really, the first year of its chart is kind of BS because it's like it came out and, did a typical IPO and then COVID hit it and killed it. And then the huge run up from 20 to 22, it follows like the typical chart,
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just been kind of a downtrend. So, this is the first time we're back above the 200 moving average. So possibly interesting here.
Yeah. I'm having it on the watch list still, even if you pull back. But of course, if it starts to break down here, I'm not so interested until it pops up on my scans again.
Right.
The next one, and I'm not sure. ENFN just looks a little bit interesting still. I think it's been moving sideways for quite some time now on a little bit of tight candles too, but they're very little volume the last period.
Yeah, and there was a lot of interest around like 10 bucks in the tens,
Yeah.
But even like you said, strong volume at 11 again. It almost looks like someone's buying.
Yeah, from here.
Because that's a lot of strong buying that's pushed it up to where it's at.
Yeah. Infusion. So yeah, I'm keeping these. They haven't moved a lot, now. But if this breaks out, I think it's and the environment changes a bit. Maybe this is a bit interesting to watch.
I'm just pulling. I don't even know who they are. What kind of company is this?
It says technology services package software.
Oh, okay, tech. Investment management industry. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's a SaaS. All right.
Yeah, some cloud services. Based in Chicago.
Yeah. I feel like just as a basic due diligence, I just like to know what the company does.
I saw Mark Minervini was on TV one time, and he got asked the question, what do they do? And I think he blames that he didn't hear what the guy said, but at least it came across that he didn't know what they were doing. But I can fully understand that when you do it this way, right?
To be honest, Mark should just say I don't know, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
just because he's such a successful trader, like it doesn't matter. Like, don't get me wrong, it's extremely important in my opinion to focus on fundamentals and narrative and what the company is and its standing amongst its competitors and its product line, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But at the same time too, a breakout is a breakout on supply and demand, and he's so good at knowing those things that if he's like, I like this company right here, that just means he likes the breakout right here, and or thinks it's going to break out.
Yeah.
So whether he knows what it does or not, I used to laugh because I've seen the videos of them asking, like, what does a company do? And the guy's like, I don't know. But like, it depends on your style.
Yeah, it for sure does. And that was unthinkable when we did the deep value strategy, right? Because we read so many things about each company. I always went through the description. I got bored of myself reading it out, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. I read a lot of 10Qs and stuff that I'm like, I'm sick of reading these things. Especially because like a lot of them you're just like, yeah, there's nothing here.
Yeah, exactly. I have SABR, which is one I got stopped out of this week, I think. It started off doing pretty well, and then it pulled back, and I got eventually stopped out. You were in SABR too, right?
Yeah, SABR actually, I I made money on, I believe,
Yeah.
but not much because of same thing. I got in. I can't remember if it was the end of this first day or if it was the start of the day on what the heck day is this?
Friday a week ago, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if I got in actually on that first up move on the 20th or if it was the 21st I got in, but then I was able to stay in. But as you can see how it ended on February 25th, it wasn't up all that much, and then it kept breaking right down. So it just like we were saying, I mean, the breakouts just are tough right now. So that's why I've been looking much more at overall market trends because I think at this point my rules and kind of my screening process for breakouts in good markets is working. So I'm much more concerned with two other things. One, kind of what you talked about with deep value. In these periods where we're in a downtrend, is there other strategies we should be looking at?
Yeah.
And my account's not big enough that I'm shorting things. I would love to try shorting, but it's not. I'm not doing it now.
I was thinking that this is when Kulamagi and those guys are shorting and also playing those EPs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And EPs definitely are still working because no matter what, fundamentals drive stock price. So if you what was it this week that killed it?
PRCH.
PRCH, yeah. PRCH.
Getting to them. Yeah.
They had a good earnings report, and that was one of the ones too that it started up pretty high, but I'm like, you know what? I bet that climbs higher, and that was the right call.
Yeah.
So
that was up, I think 50% at maximum, 40, 43, 44 on that day. So
yeah, that's the only reason I didn't take it is because for me to get in when I would want it to, it would have to be up
couldn't do it.
40% or something.
Yeah, I agree.
So
but Sabers looked good, but just one of those that didn't work out. Is I saw the next one is Open Lane. The ticker is KAR. They actually did well on Friday. I was in this ticker this week, but got stopped out. I think I took it on Monday. Doesn't really matter. One of these days I took it and I got stopped out on the same day. But that was maybe the stop loss was too tight. I used the 3% there. It just happened that I got stopped out, but it did perform after I got stopped out, a little bit at least.
Yeah, I tried taking CAR on the 20th last week. Yeah. And that was the day it had that huge swing way high and then way low. So I got stopped out.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, even if I had held it for a few days, it wouldn't have worked out very well.
No.
So not a big deal, but yeah, I agree. And I didn't even notice this one on Friday, but it does look good here.
Yeah, it did turn around a bit. And overall, though, this sideways move there, and you did get that breakout on the day that you are talking about, and that was straight after our earnings beat too. So that's what we were saying in the beginning here. Even things did look good a lot of the times on the tickers that we have been stopped out on. Things are there, the stuff that we look, but this works eventually. But we got stopped out both, I think.
Yeah, and as you and I too are just going through and learning all this stuff too. It really is beneficial though I continue to trade in this period, not because I necessarily think it's the right thing to do, and I may just come to the conclusion, which I've already come to it in my major overall approach to this. But I'm still trading because I just like to see how things are working, and if I take a trade each day, it just makes me keep an eye on markets.
Yeah.
So I think at a bare minimum, that's what I would do. Which at most will risk 0.5%, going forward for each week, which, I think I can stomach for a while.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to keep your finger on the pulse here and to see how things when they do bounce back. Because that's the other thing too, is I've looked at the composite and there is bounce backs even in a big downtrend. There'll be a week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks where it bounces back, but then it comes right back down. So
Yeah.
it's not like you can't play breakouts on those weeks, as things move up and down.
No.
But
And also, it may lead to other things. May lead you to find a ticker that you see, like you talked about what you are looking for now with USEG, that a bottom is forming, a base is forming, and maybe you check the fundamentals, and all of a sudden it's just part of our research for a deep value play or something like that.
right.
Yeah. So to keep your finger on the pulse, I think is important. So there was some days I couldn't sit down at the computer at the opening this week because of my work, but I have been checking every day.
Yeah.
Which I think you should do if you can.
And I think CAR is a good example of, it's been in this trending sideways period. And that's, the rest of the market's kind of been, in this general downtrend.
Yeah.
And then Friday, when the market finally has its first bounce up, all of a sudden you see CAR break out.
Yeah.
Just finally some money came into the market. You know what I mean?
And
so,
also in that period, it had this very high volume, at least for the stock, 20th of December, buying volume on the sideways move.
Right.
So someone is buying here.
But I will say,
it's still on the watch list.
Yeah.
The next one is CURI, and that's a familiar name for us in terms of swing trading. I think the setup now it's still moving sideways, I guess, but there's an earnings report coming up in 10 days here, it says. I'm doubtful anything will happen to it before that, maybe just ahead, but yeah, let's see if this continues to go down, I will delete it from the watch list, I think.
Yeah, I mean, right now it looks good.
Yeah, it does look good.
The 50 just crossed over the 100, so
yeah, and the volume is there, like what you want to see in a sideways move. But the earnings report is a bit annoying that it's it's coming closely, and I assume that will send the stock up or down.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So if nothing happens,
there's a few names I took this week were based on earnings, and I'm not getting in before.
No, exactly. So if something happens before, though, that's why I keep it here. I want to participate then, I think, because did you take CURI not too long ago? Did you?
Yeah, I think I tried to get in it, and I've taken CURI I think twice in the past, and it's worked out well.
Yeah.
But this last time I think I took it, it didn't break out. It might have been on, what day was this? February 11th when it hit 297 at the high. I think that day I thought it looked like it was going to break out.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit preemptive. Just, it had already made 2 moves up, and, now it's back to consolidating, and also a lot of resistance around 3. That's the highest it's been, at least on a 52-week chart. So,
yeah.
But I mean, it's pulled back into the mid 2s, which, whatever.
Yeah, and it's a longer sideways move now, so maybe if you get the breakout, it will last a bit longer, hopefully.
Yeah, and I agree. The volume has really kind of dried up.
Yeah.
Probably for the reason you're saying, is like everyone's kind of anticipating earnings, so it's.
So the next one is PRCH, which we briefly touched upon. It had some good earnings. It actually missed on revenue, but it crushed the EPS estimate. Sent it up like almost 45%, I think, on that day. It was impossible for us to get in, I think. I think it opened up 30%, and then it just kept stabilizing around between 40 and 45, something like that. And it has held up since. Volume is slowing down a bit, but this would be the sell day would be yesterday, right? And but yeah, it was impossible to get in. It went so quickly, right?
Yeah, I not to say you could have taken it up, and whatever, your stop loss is what it is. But the problem on those days where something's up 40%, if I have a tight stop loss, my chance of it getting triggered is so high that it's like, I I don't want to just get stopped out because, you know, when something's up 40%, it can go up and down 10% easily. You
Yeah.
know?
I think it was
So
even
that
higher
part's
than
tough.
40%. But yeah, it looks good though still, and I'm interested to keep it on the watch list, I think, because I want to see a sideways move very quickly here again, so we can maybe get another breakout, because historically it has these spikes up also on some volume, and that's also around last earnings, you know. But it has made a solid move since October. It's up almost 500%, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I will say this is now the fourth move upwards, which makes me start to think, you know, fourth and fifth move is usually where you'll see like a big run up like this start to dry up. Not a lot of names get to push past that, but I mean, this is a really strong uptrend.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking in October, this was at $1.25.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at the weekly too, it looks good there, you know, it just broken out and could continue.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
You had 32 million on that day on the earnings, after the earnings. The next one is TRIN. You said you were still in TRIN, or?
No, I just sold out.
Oh yeah, you sold out. So I have a day left on mine. But yeah, looks a bit good at least.
Yeah, this could push higher. I luckily I did not get stopped out yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before.
Thursday. Yeah.
And then yesterday it recovered a decent amount. I know it was only a 2% move, but I'll take it because it made it once again like a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah. And this also had earnings, so you know, things are there. But yeah, let's see where it goes. ATUS is another one I have here. Just moving sideways, I think. Bit of, it has these candles with a little bit of spike in it, so maybe that's a reason to stay away a little bit on some of the days, because it moves a lot. But the overall ADR is not higher than 6%, you know.
This one's pretty choppy. That's one thing I don't like about it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I have considered to take it probably here, right, on 13th of February, and I didn't, and it just didn't work out at that point.
I remember you mentioning it that day, and I thought the same thing. I was like, it just looks so choppy, like you're gonna get stopped out easy. And I remember it being way up that day too, and I was like, oh, maybe he was right.
Yeah.
And then it did pull back. So
yeah, it did.
Just you can just look at this chart and, you know, it should scream to you, this is a tough one.
Yeah. And it also has a lot of negative earnings now versus the estimates. So maybe you should check into the company there or just leave it alone. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't like this one too much.
Yeah.
Another stock that had a good day yesterday was RMNI, Rimini Street.
Yeah.
And I think I put it on my watch list a few days ago, but right now if it comes with another move, maybe it's interesting. It just had positive earnings and some news. So what do you think about it?
I mean, it looks pretty good. If it can push higher again, I mean, there was good buying on Friday. I'm hesitant because it moved up just like the NASDAQ did.
Yeah.
Or I should just say in general, like the indexes did. And it also moved down just like the indexes did all week. Yeah. So I wonder how much of this is actual extra coming in, or is it just the market shifting?
Yeah. Because it's not the highest volume stock, this. But also on my chart, at least, it's resting a little bit on this 20-day moving average when it bounces off it a couple of times here.
No, it serves the 20-day very well.
Yeah. So yeah, just it had a 16% move on Friday. So now I'm just gonna keep it on the watch list for a couple of more days, I think, and see where it lands.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea.
ADPT is another one. I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest. You haven't been in this one before, have you?
I tried it before, and in hindsight, I won't go into this one because this is another one. I don't like the chart. It's not stair step. It's that slow. It's that slow move up. Like, this is a stock. If you're going to play this kind of stock, like I feel like you'd have to buy off a moving average or something like that and just hold it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do a stair step. It doesn't really break out. I mean, there's breakouts in here, but they're tough and they're not for huge amounts.
Yeah. Even the weekly looks a bit messy, you know. But
yeah,
in general, up. So it's a biotech too, so I'm probably gonna kick this out eventually.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and not to say I won't go into a biotech, but there's always that added risk with biotechs.
Yeah. Another one that I saw was during the week that I saw it looked a bit impressive was LOGC, context logic, but it did break down after the gain it had.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen with a ton of things is there's just not great looking breakouts right now.
Yeah, and also earnings are coming up.
I just wanted to run a screen real quick and just see how many names are still looking strong based on.
Yeah, I did it before the stream on mine, and honestly, I just added because I didn't check end of day yesterday, so I just added like 3 names, I think, out of it was more than 100 tickers.
Yeah, so I have just a few different screeners, like 1 month highs, 3 month highs, and these are the lowest I have ever seen them.
Yeah.
Wow, really, really, really bearish looking to me.
Yeah.
Just in terms of breakouts, like there's just barely any strong stocks right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 6 month. When I get to the 6 month one, that's the first one that starts to actually give me some names. So it's the past, like when I do a 3 month and a 1 month, it looks really weak.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's tricky for sure, and I think both of us, without really talking to each other that much before we actually started to talk about it, was that we both came to the conclusion that it's probably just best to take less trades.
Yeah, that first week where I kept going into stuff and was just getting, nothing was working. That was like, I was like, all right, this, and then I started focusing on, the indexes. And then this week you saw the big pullback, and I'm like, yeah, this is a sign to just put the brakes on.
Yeah.
And now I'm curious because, like I said, if I'm looking at the Nasdaq Composite here, we did just tap that 200-day moving average, and we saw the first bounce back. So I'm curious to see because if you look at the past 2 years, it's every time it's touched the 200-day moving average, it's bounced off it and moved up.
Yeah.
Every time. So if it breaks through that, to me, that's like a pretty bearish sign.
Yeah.
Like if every time it's tapped it, which has been since March of 2023, it's moved upwards from it.
Yeah, it's
which
definitely.
Once again, I know it's just a moving average, and what does it actually mean? Probably nothing in the grand scheme, but obviously people are looking at that number and buying there.
Yeah. No, it's probably also an area that we need to work more on, like the market awareness, situational awareness.
Yeah.
I actually bought a new book or a couple of books this week, so I'm waiting for them. One is the John Livermore book that everyone say you should read. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is OPK, which is a health and medical nursing service. Also on earnings, it did pretty well and then pulled straight back.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah,
like
I
a
actually-
recurring
I was
pattern.
buying this name and I almost took it, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. But that breakup would have been good though, because right now it's almost at the previous 52-week high at least, and that just crushed that previous high, and the volume too was there, so. But it did pull back. And then I added some. These three next names is stuff I added from the screens before the stream today. So the first one of those are DRVN driven brands.
Yeah, I just saw this. I was looking through just my screeners, and it's another name. It's just not super strong volume here.
Yeah, and it says here on TradingView like GRRR law office is investigating potential how do you say this, fiduciary breaches by Driven Brands Holdings officers.
Yeah, fiduciary. Yeah.
So that's not a good sign in fundamentally, at least.
Yeah, I'd have to look into more exactly what they're saying by that,
but it's also
yeah,
on a little bit of a big side, close to 3 billion in market cap, but if you look at the volume since Friday 14 of February, it's actually above the averages every day, so it has some good volume.
Yeah, it just it takes a lot of volume to get this one to move. It looks like.
Yeah, it does. A bit of a slow mover. And Kulamagi, he says like everything on the 4 in ADR or even 5 just are shit, he says. So the next one is MCW. A little bit of the same. It had a big move yesterday. Beat on earnings a little bit ago, and a bit weird because it had a big sell-off here on 20th of February, and then it has recovered. I think this needs a little bit more time. What do you think, Dane?
Yeah, it's right. Looks like it could break out, but I'm just hesitant on everything right now, to be honest.
Yeah. And also a little bit on the big side, almost it's 275 billion. And the last one I saw on the screens was CMRX, which is a pharma company.
Yeah, I remember these guys that one day that they took off.
Yeah. Which
I mean, it's been trickling up, but just slow.
Yeah. But since that day, though, it's up 500%.
Well, that day was a big part of that move. So
yeah.
I mean, definitely more buyers than sellers.
Huh?
I said there's definitely more buyers than sellers because I mean it is just trickling upwards, since that big move.
It has earnings in 3 days. The market cap is still 472 million. So yeah, it's on the watch list.
Yeah, I mean, if it could break out from the spot, I wonder in this market. I've talked about, or you were just talking about how Christian basically just looks at EPs and parabolic shorts essentially.
Yeah.
And I kind of see why the EPs are the way to go during this, because you don't really get clear breakouts anymore during this. There's not a lot of stair steps. It's a lot of like either trickling up or it's like really choppy upwards. So not really great for breakouts and trying to get like a typical swing trade. So I guess if you're going to be looking at EPs, the big difference there is what is your holding period on an EP?
I guess that's when you go more, like you said. Maybe he doesn't, but my thing is you could do some day trading on those.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've really seen work
Yeah.
consistently this week that I could have done. And it's not like a typical day trade strategy, because typical day traders are looking at intraday charts and they're, I would be more sell at end of day.
Yeah.
Because typically on the breakouts, they tend to end somewhere near their high and then it doesn't last long. So that's one possible strategy we could try implementing going forward for a little bit.
That would have worked pretty nicely on PRCH at least.
Almost every name I got into on the first day was up. Now it was only like 1% or 2 or maybe 3, but it was up.
Yeah.
So like I took INOD and I got stopped out.
Oh,
I think I took it on the February 26th day, and I got in it at a really good price, and it went up, and then the next day it pulled right back down and stopped me out.
Yeah.
So either that or I took it on. What was the 21st? Was that? No, it wasn't this week.
That's when I took it, and I got stopped out the next day.
Yeah, I think I took it on the 26th and got stopped right out the next day. So, but another one, I think I was up like 5 or 6%. Like it was actually decent.
Oh yeah.
But then it stopped right out because that's what it was. It was up like 6 or 7%, and I think it pulled back at some point during the day.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the hourly.
I think I said wrong. I didn't take it here. I took it 13th of February, I think. And then I got stopped the next day, and then it continued up. So it was annoying for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that at least. I got stopped out of it. You know, I have that sheet that I talked about that I've been building to group themes and stuff like that, and I also have come up with my own, which means it's probably not bulletproof, but I have my own score system on it, and right now like everything is almost it's on a very low score. I think the highest one was 0.25, which the maximum score they can get is 5. So everything is very low, so it's just tough.
Yeah, it is really tough.
I haven't been using that so much after I started swing trading, but I was thinking this week, because I saw David Ryan, he was using some stuff. I think he used MarketSmith, and they had some, I don't know what it was. It was like some add-ons that they can see like which groups are moving, like which sectors and stuff like that. And he said like, yeah, I go through them pretty often actually to try to get a head start on, or if the market turns around and I already know that, for example, gold miners are moving already, I'm keeping it in the back of my mind to maybe take those breakouts versus something else that looks good, because I know they are already in an uptrend.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see the benefit of that. So I have added approximately like 300 stocks to my sheet there. So maybe I will start to use it more actively, especially when we start to get a feeling of how the market may be turning around for a bit,
Yeah. Yeah. I think no matter what, just the whole last week's just been one more of reflection than anything.
Yeah.
And like I said, since I've been doing swing trading, which I keep bringing up the composite just because it allows me to kind of have some kind of gauge on things. But if you go to the composite and you look back, the last time there was a decent pullback was from July to August. And then August midway went up and then pulled back in September. And then I didn't really start doing the swing trading until October.
Yeah.
So if you look, since October, it's kind of just been steadily going upwards.
Yeah, it has.
There hasn't been any real big pullbacks. This is the first time I've seen a pullback that dips all the way down to that 200 moving day average. So, it just gives me the idea that there's just like a few things, like looking at the chart, like if something breaks through the 50 moving day average and the 100-day moving average, like that's definitely some warnings to slow down. Where the 200 is a good indicator. If it comes off of that, it seems to be maybe a good time to start to watch again.
Yeah.
Because it tends to push back off that. And if it breaks through the 200 moving day average, and I'm looking back to 1990, that's a good signal to really put a pause on.
Yeah.
Because if it breaks past the 200 moving day average, that's where you really see like some kind of larger pullback.
Yeah.
And I know it's all kind of arbitrary in that sense, but at the same time, just something to focus on.
Yeah. I don't have the 200 on my chart, so if people are wondering which line you are speaking of, it's supposed to be a line here, I guess.
But
I don't have it.
See all the bottom points that you're pointing at?
Yeah,
That's
I understand.
Exactly the 200.
Yeah. I don't have it because I have some limitations with my subscription, but I know Dane uses a couple of more moving averages than I do. Yeah. Just to clarify.
So.
But that's an interesting point, and yeah, I was a bit surprised, I have to say, because I started Friday yesterday to check, and I saw things were down. It looked like the same as the previous days, and I was like, nah. And I had to go anyways, actually, so I'm not gonna use that as a. I actually had to go, but I did log off, and I was a bit surprised when I came back that I saw stuff were green all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah. At end of the day, I wasn't expecting it to be up quite as much as it was. And I remember I told you, I'm like, I bet if this taps the 200, it could go right back up. And that's exactly what happened. So the one thing I will say is, even though the markets themselves are pretty bearish, I would say it's still bullish in the fact that as soon as it touches the 200, there's enough buying pressure that it pushes past that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'll be curious going forward. I mean, there's been a lot of volume that's come into stocks since 2020. Like I'm looking at the long-term composite, and just the volume spike up that you see right after COVID, that big crash in COVID. Since then, the volume in the markets has just like doubled almost.
Yeah, it has.
So just interesting.
It's been good periods for sure, and even though 22 was a bit, this is a big cup and handle pattern, right, on the on this chart, a little bit at least.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. David Ryan actually talked about that. He sometimes he looked at the weekly and he zoomed out, and he noticed a cup and handle pattern on a 5 5 to 10 year basis or something like that, you know. And then after it did go up for many years, you know.
Yeah. Good thing to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That was my watch list. You have anything? I saw GRRR, Dane. That's a familiar name, you know.
Yeah, that climbed back.
Yeah, a bit surprising to me because I thought it was a bit dead.
Well, to be honest, right now, talking about cup and handle.
Yeah, it looks very good. I'm putting it on the watch list. And volume is rising again. What was that on though? No news?
I wonder if it's just the market's turning.
Yeah.
It's up in after hours another 2% too.
There was a presentation the day before, so maybe it had something to do with that.
It must have been damn good.
Yeah. Talked about their role in building smart cities, enhancing security, and fostering sustainability through AI-powered solutions. Damn robots again.
Always the damn robots.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see anything else, or have we covered the week maybe?
No, honestly, most of the same names that you saw are what I saw at the end of the week, and really it was only Friday that I saw a few names that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, all of them were catching back up to the break-even points. Even the ones that broke through, they were already up so much by the time it got there. It's tough to even want to play them.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm more just curious because I think for now, I'm just going to continue to follow the Nasdaq and the S&P and just watch how things bounce off some of these moving averages. Because you know, like I said, I'm going back into the 2000s, and that's where I see correlation.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, if next week continues like the last 3 weeks, I'm probably gonna do very, very few trades.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right move.
Yeah. Maybe even zero. But like you said, maybe take one with a little bit less risk and all that, just in case, and just to be in the game. But if you check, maybe it's not. If you check every day, maybe it's not worth even trying to take position, because it feels like a bit random now which one's gonna stick and which one's is not gonna. But maybe, you know, if you see something on GRRR, maybe something like that you know can move, it's worth taking a shot, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I think I will go and collect my book then, my new book.
Yeah, enjoy. It's always nice to
Yeah.
get some new reading material.
It was a little bit of a shorter stream then, but I think it was less things moving also, so that's how it is sometimes, right?
Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Join the Discord, because we're gonna put that quote in our Laughing Stock Wisdom tab, where you can, by the way, find heaps of valuable words, basically.
Yeah, a lot of really, really deep insights there.
I'm surprised that it doesn't cost money, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we should probably put the investing advice behind a paywall,
Yeah.
like $100 a month, something that you gotta really want it.
Let me just give the audience here a sneak peek of what they can expect. A bull and a bear are two different animals.
Fact.
Stocks tend to do better when the business does better.
Tend.
Yeah. And maybe one of my favorites, butter sausages.
Let's talk about buttered sausages.
All right. Yeah. So join. You see what you're missing out on if you're not in the Discord.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what we mean by buttered sausages, too, please YouTube that, because that's a great video right there. That's our investing philosophy in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think that sums up the entire life of the Laughing Stock channel.
Yeah. I learned more from that quote than I think anything previously.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
Yeah, that's saying something, I think. I think that's a good way to put it. All right. Should we probably end it there then?
Yeah, that's a strong ending.
Yeah. All right. We will see you in a week, next week.
Yeah. You know, still, it's life's only getting busier, so it's the chance of coming back to some later streams at night is really tough.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you know, I'm curious because I'm optimistic right now. We touched that moving day average on the daily, and we bounced right off of it. So that does show decent strength, but at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like it's felt very bearish out there, which, like I said, I don't want to predict anything. I don't want to tell you it's going to be bearish because, like I said, on Monday, it's going to be up 30% the whole market, and there'll be some crazy AI news so that like the world's changing for the better.
Yeah.
So don't want to assume anything, but just thinking or just more looking at it. Like I said, all I'm doing is just backtracking. I'm just checking charts and I'm running numbers and doing crunches. I'm using ChatGPT. I'm sending ChatGPT historical prices and say, hey, calculate based on all these different things, and seeing how it's doing. And it's kind of cool because it does a lot of work for you really quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing in some parts of what we are doing for sure. I've used it also to help me build some sheets and stuff like that now in the past 6 months.
Yeah,
and it's really helpful. You need to know. It gives you some formulas that doesn't work a lot of the times, but then if you argue a little bit with it, you usually can find a solution that works pretty well, you know. So and
Right.
it's also helped me with the grouping stocks together and it's pulling out the description, the main business, and they compare it to each other. So I've had a lot of help with it actually. And you know, Dane, before we go, also like I saw a tool. It's called Notebook LM or something. Maybe you know about this from before, but I just learned about it, and you can upload like sources from whatever you want, and it creates like a podcast conversation about that topic. And that's maybe not so cool because that exists from before, but they have a beta version now where you can actually, if you have a microphone, you can ask them questions during the conversation, and they go on a sidetrack with you, you know, and you can just keep asking them, and those models are already trained, so they know a lot about any topic. So I have actually tested it out on a few different things that I know a lot about, and I have to say that it was very impressive and a little bit of a eye-opener for me to the fact that you can just ask some already then experts on a topic questions, and they give you actually good answers, you know. But like everything else I have experienced with AI, you need to be a bit careful because they start out a bit limited, so you need to know what to ask for and you know, ask the right questions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. So I know a lot of students use that to study and stuff like that. It has apparently existed for a while, but I didn't know that you could ask questions and stuff. So I think that's something a little bit new, at least.
Right. No, good to know.
Yeah.
Something I'll check out.
Crazy.
Yeah, because I didn't know that.
No, and I uploaded every single stream that Roaring Kitty had, because you can upload YouTube links. But instead of the channel, you need to upload every single video. So I did that, and I did also a little bit of else that that was around GameStop and stuff like that. And my goal was, if they can ask me, for example, what you helped me with to explain stuff in his sheet, and they couldn't do that, but they said like, they understood eventually that I was more interested in to understand the calculations and how things were tied together. And they said they will create a podcast based on that and send it to me when they are ready. And I haven't heard anything yet from them, so I'm not sure if it works exactly like that. But that would be really cool if I end up getting a podcast where they have trained the models on that, and I can actually ask them question about their calculator, for example.
Yeah, I mean, if that works, that's awesome.
Yeah. So and I asked them a little bit about O'Neill and Minervini and their strategy and the stop loss calculation and that table he has in the book and just stuff like that, and they managed to give like proper good answers, in my opinion.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, just a tip. It's amazing.
Maybe we'll have to throw that in the comments or something.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
See you in a week then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll let you know if I'm doing much during the week or whatnot.
Yeah.
I'll try and we've been actually just kind of texting back and forth, but what I'll try and do is start posting again in the Discord. Just so you guys can see if we've done anything, if anything changes.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm super curious on Monday, since we did touch that moving average, what do we do? Do we hover around it and come off of it? Or is this the first time we get to see a real breakdown?
Yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting. Maybe a little bit determining week, this coming week, for the direction we're going into next.
Right. All right, well, everybody, have a good rest of the weekend.
See ya.